What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel, and today we're going to be doing another kill streak breakdown, this time once again taking a look at some more subscriber gameplay. Today we're going to be taking a look at a 56 kill streak with Grievous on KILLSTREAK, and this gameplay comes from Rami. A big thank you to Rami who submitted the gameplay for this series. So I'll leave a link to the original kill streak on his channel if you guys do want to go and show him some love. Now, as always, if you guys want to submit your own gameplay to be broken down, then there is a link in the description of all of my videos. I generally only really do streaks between about 40 to 75 just because that's a very obtainable kill streak for any newer or less experienced players to get. So I'm definitely just going to be keeping it to that sort of sweet spot where it's all still a really high kill streak, but it's not too high to where none of us regular guys are going to be able to get the same type of gameplay. Now, just lastly, about a week ago as you're watching this, I did actually upload a Grievous hero guide on the channel as well. So as I always say, it is a great idea to watch the hero guides in tandem with these when they are focused on the same character, as the guide gives you all the stats and the star cards and stuff like that, and then the kill streak breakdown allows you to actually see some raw gameplay and just see how that hero should or shouldn't be played. So be sure to go and check that one out if you haven't already. But anyway, guys, with that out of the way, let's get stuck right into the gameplay. So KILLSTREAK is a really solid map for the dark side hero kill streaks. In my opinion, it's probably one of the best, if not the best, for dark side heroes, especially lightsaber heroes, but blaster heroes can do very well as well. Just the fact that it's so long and it goes on for so much time, but it's also well designed for, you know, staying alive and having a lot of cover and stuff. I think it is definitely just a perfect combo. And if you look at a lot of the top kill streaks out there, a lot of them are on KILLSTREAK. So this is definitely one of the better maps, and it's definitely a very good choice for Grievous. I think my highest kill streak with Grievous is on KILLSTREAK as well. Now, right off the bat here, I'll actually say that I personally think this side of the map is definitely not the side that you want to be going to early on, especially with a lightsaber hero. Maybe the blaster hero, and it kind of depends. If you got Darth Maul, someone really fast, obviously, then it's a little bit different. But personally, I actually tend to stick to the left side of the map, or at least in the middle here, sort of where Rami is heading over this way. It's just a bit more cover, and you can actually get trapped out on that right side a little bit, especially if there's like tanks and stuff. You kind of can't get away from him over there. So he did it right there. Nothing really happened. It's not the end of the world if you go over that side of the map, but personally I would just recommend to stick pretty much where he is right now and kind of go between here and that left side of the map, just where there's a bit more cover and there's also a lot less, you know, chance of there being vehicles. Vehicles on KILLSTREAK are essentially like the main reason you're going to die most of the time, and I'm pretty sure he actually dies to a tank at the end of the game here as well. So I think that's probably the biggest thing on this map, is really just situating yourself in a place where you're not going to get in trouble with tanks or, you know, even starfighters and stuff like that. And you can see here there is actually just a tank right there, and there's also one over to the right of him. So this is kind of what I mean. You just want to stay away. I'm not sure how he didn't take damage just there actually from that tank. And he did get, I will say, he did get pretty lucky here to not take any damage from those tanks, because I know if that was me, I don't know what it is about my luck with vehicles, but if that was me, I would have died about 8 times just from that tank. So yeah, he definitely got a little bit lucky there. And so that's kind of what I'm saying, is to avoid those parts of the map where the tanks can deal damage, because obviously, like I said, here it didn't really matter that much. But if the tank, you know, the pilot is switched on, they're going to know that you're there and they're going to pretty much kill you. It's not much at all that you can do to tanks, so you just want to avoid those areas whenever you can, really. So you can see here he does move over to the left side here, and this is pretty much the only part of the map that I would recommend going on once you are in this sort of section of the map. There's enough cover over here, and generally this is where a lot of the enemies are going to be as well, so you'll generally pick up a lot of kills here. Where he's moving here as well is another really good spot. This right here is sort of where the map opens up to be really solid for saber heroes, and yeah, you can kind of allow yourself at this point to be more in I guess in different areas of the map. You don't have to stick to one side, because this is where it sort of opens up to the whole width of the map is really solid. So once you're at this point, you're a lot, I guess, safer. You're generally going to start getting a lot of your kills here as well, and you can see that he is he's noticing a lot of enemies hanging around these little huts here, and this is where you want to make the most of it. Now, not too sure what happened there. I know on PS4 the recording's often cut, and that's actually why I initially got my capture card. So I think that just cut out there. He is in a bit of trouble here, getting double teamed by Ray and Luke, which is never a good thing. I'm not sure how he got out of that, but he's done very well there to just realise that there's no point in, like, he's not going to win that fight, so he's just trying to get away. That's the perfect reaction to it there. Obviously a little bit of luck involved. You can't really, you know, you can't decide if you win or lose that, because generally you're going to die in that situation, but he did the best that he could and he got away. His health has regened a little bit, and at this point I guess all it is trying to you almost need to go as hard as you can without taking damage, because you do need to get kills to get your health back. So it's kind of a balancing act at this point. And he's doing the right thing here. He's pushing over to the other side of the map where the heroes are. Always say this in the kill streak breakdowns, that you should never really... I shouldn't say never, but it's very rare that you should be going after heroes and trying to, you know, focus on the heroes if you're going for a kill streak. If you're trying to just sacrifice yourself and get rid of those enemy heroes, then that's a different story. But these are obviously focused on kill streaks. If you want to stay alive, the last thing you want to do is trying to get into fights with heroes when you don't really need to. So he's done the right thing here. He's obviously picking up a few more kills. This is all he needs to do at this point, is try and get his health back to maybe around 500, to where you can feel a little bit safer. And this part of the map right here is really... This is probably the best part of the map for, I guess, being able to maneuver yourself to where if you get in trouble, you can kind of relocate very quickly. Now, he comes up on Ray again, and there's also a Han. So he knows Luke's dead now, and that's kind of a good thing, because Han's definitely not as dangerous to Grievous as Luke is. Now, he does a pretty risky play there, doing that thrust surge, because Han was actually just behind him. It was pretty hard to see him, but he quickly ran away there. So it was kind of it kind of ended up being a decent play, but at the time it was definitely very risky. Sometimes you got to do that. You got to risk it and try and get those kills, because at the end of the day, if you don't have health, then, you know, you're not going to do well. You need to get your health back somehow. The only way to do that is getting kills. So once you do get low, it's kind of a high risk, high reward type situation, because you can die very quickly. But if you do get those kills and you get your health back, if you can eventually get full health again, then you will have gotten that many kills at that point. You're probably going to be on a 30 or 40 kill streak, and you've now got full health again. So like I said earlier, it's a bit of a balancing act. It really just comes down to practice. So there's nothing you can really teach. But yeah, what he's doing here, he's got his health back up a little bit, and he sees a Han, and that's the perfect decision there to try and take Han out, because you're going to get a lot of health. You're eliminating a hero, so that's obviously just helpful for you and your team. And so that was the right decision there, to get a little bit of health back. And then when he sees Han, it'd be different if it was like a Luke or someone like that. But Han, as good as he is in heroes vs villains, any blaster hero is going to struggle quite a bit when it comes to a saber hero, you know, going against them. So really good decision making there. He's back nearly at 500 health here, and this is kind of where the kill streaks generally start to turn around again. You can start playing a little bit more how you normally would, because you have some health back. So the kill streaks back on track now. We're kind of moving into the second phase here, and this part of the map here is kind of tricky, because it's kind of like what I mentioned in the crate kill streak breakdown. You kind of can't really do much at this point. You're kind of waiting for, you know, the MTT to push up far enough for you to actually push forward. So at this point, Rami's actually doing the right thing here. He's going horizontally instead of just waiting at, you know, say the left side of the map, waiting right near the spawn for them to, you know, come running at him. He's now going horizontally. He's going over here to the right side of the map, trying to kill some, and then he's heading back to the left side. And that's really the only way you can play this part of the map. And at this point, really all you want to be doing is just trying to essentially get as much health back as you can heading into the second phase, because the second phase is really, really solid for sort of adding to your kill streak, because it's so tight around those juggernauts that you can pick up a lot of kills, but you also need to have a lot of health. You can't really do that well in the second phase without much health. So this little section here, obviously they're now moving on, but that section there, you just want to try and pick up a few extra kills without taking too much damage. You can see here, he's essentially kept the same amount of health. He got a few kills, but also lost some. You can see here, he does nearly get the fin there. That would have been nice to add to that, well, as Grievous would say, add to the collection, but add to his health. But he unfortunately doesn't get it, but he is at 550 health, which is about where you want to be at a minimum. Anything below that, you obviously need to play a little bit slower, but 550 to 500, that's kind of a health where you can still, you know, play pretty aggressively. Now, there's another jump there. Can't really obviously say what happened in there, but he is inside now. There's a Luke around, which is obviously very risky to be going against Luke, just because his damage output is so crazy. But in saying that, it is also very important to make sure that you're defending the objective. I think the commando droid just right now plants it, and once you're in here and it is planted, I think, yeah, just now it has been planted, it's obviously very important to make sure that it stays active, because if they disable it, there's obviously going to be a lot of them in there, and then it can be really, really hard to break in. So he's doing a really good job here of essentially just defending that while it's ready to be blown up essentially. And this is just one of those situations where you kind of, again, it's just a balancing act. You have to decide how much you want to move on to the next phase, because if you just go for the kill streak, obviously you're not going to be playing the objective much. But that might mean that they get the objective off. You can see here, this guy luckily got killed by the commando there, but he would have got him anyway. If you let them, disable that, you're not going to move on to the second phase most of the time. And so, even though it is a bit riskier, it's just a high risk, high reward, because if you do get a lot of kills in there and you survive and you move on to the next phase, even though that was a bit of a riskier play, you're obviously going to get more kills. So, he's done the right thing there. I see a lot of people that generally won't play the objective in a situation like that, and sometimes you don't need to. If your team's all over it, then you just go around getting kills. That's that's going to be smarter for the team. But if you're in there and someone plants it, it is smart to stay in there and just make sure it ends up being blown up, because if you do move on to this last phase, that's always going to leave you with more kills than if you just ended the game in the second phase. Now this last phase is absolute heaven for a saber hero. It's almost just purely designed for a saber hero. There's so many little tight corners that you can sneak up on enemies, and even if they can see you on the map, there's sometimes just not a lot that they can do to actually stop you. So generally you're going to get a lot of kills here. You can see he's on 40 and he ends up on I think a 56 kill streak, so he does pick up a lot of his kills here at the end, and especially with someone like Grievous with that claw rush and his damage output, he can absolutely dominate in these areas. The thing is though that he is obviously pretty low on health now. He's down to, once he regens anyway, he's at about 250, and like I said, he can dominate in these areas. But the other thing you need to keep in mind is that you're not often going to run into too many 1v1s. It's generally going to be a bunch of enemies all at once, because they kind of spawn in waves a lot of the time. So you can see here, like, as he gets one kill, there's generally always another enemy nearby. So you do have to play it very smart with how you're navigating the map. You don't want to be running into an area where there's like 4 or 5 enemies shooting at you, especially when you're this low on health. What I personally would have done at this point is actually completely fall back to essentially like the entrance to the Venator and pretty much switch sides of the map. You can switch like right here where he is, but there's often going to be a lot of tanks sitting in the back or snipers or whatever, and crossing in that middle section can be pretty hard. So I would personally fall back a bit and actually head to the other side. This side's planted, so everyone's going to be coming here, generally speaking, like a lot of the heroes. You can see on the map there's 1, 2, 3 heroes nearby. And yeah, I would personally be heading to the other side of the map. With that being said, he's doing pretty well here. He's picking up a lot of kills. Nearly gets the Lando there. That would have been huge for the health, but he is back towards 400, so with only one objective left and 400 health, you're not really in a bad situation by any means. He does switch over here to the other side of the map now. Like I said, you can switch sides of the map in the middle as well, but I would tend to do it sort of further back in the map just in case there are tanks. Nice little combo there to get Chewie. That gave him quite a bit of health back, and yeah, he is doing very well at this point. This is kind of the section of the game where I always mention that, for me anyway, I'm caring a bit less about surviving and more about just trying to get a bunch of kills, because the game's going to end at some point soon. Unfortunately, right here, the tank is closing on him. I did mention earlier that the tank ends up taking him out. He does switch sides here, and as I said before, he does sort of fall back to switch, and that was a really good example of it. You don't want to be switching like up on the front lines, because you've got a big open area. If you fall back a little bit, then that's the best way to switch sides of the map. Unfortunately, things do start to get a little bit chaotic here, and this right here is kind of what I mean. He's switching sides as there's people shooting at him. That's generally not the best idea, but obviously he's in a bit of a pickle there, so there's not too many other ways you can do it there. Yoda thinks he can win the 1v1 here, and he gets absolutely obliterated, so that was a very nice little play there to get some health back. And obviously now feeling a bit more confident, he's going to head back into the other side. Again, another little cut there, so we're not too sure what sort of we missed there, but you'll see here, this is kind of one of those situations where you kind of get a little bit greedy. I do this all the time. You see a few enemies and it can often get you hurt. He's down now to 49 health, which is now essentially going to be the end of him, because that tank, as I said earlier, does take him out with the rockets. Very frustrating death, because the tank, to be honest, it didn't really take any skill to kill him. So those kinds of deaths are very frustrating, but like I said, that is kind of the point of the map, where I think the care factor kind of goes out the window a bit. You've already gotten your 50 kill streak and the game's nearly done. So even if he had have survived to the end, he may have only gotten to 60 or 65 at the most. And so I don't think he necessarily did anything wrong there. I think he actually played it very well to survive so many times there and, you know, get that health back from Yoda and stuff like that. So there's always little things to pick apart and to say, you know, oh, you could have done better here and there, but it's the same with my gameplay. The amount of times you see something and think, oh, I should have done that better, but in the end, a lot of the time it doesn't really matter, because that late in the game you're not going to get that much higher of a kill streak anyway. And I think it's always fun to, you know, kind of just unleash a little bit once you're at that point of the game where, yeah, you've already gotten your 50 kill streak or whatever, the game's nearly done, and yeah, at that point I generally just send it. So a very good kill streak there from Rami. I think the key thing to take away from this gameplay was the positioning. I thought he positioned himself really well on the map, other than really at the start on that right side, but other than that I think he sort of transitioned between the left side and the right side really well. Played a lot of really good objective in that second phase to help them get onto that third phase, because if he didn't help defend that, then they may have never gotten there, and he only had a 35 or 40 kill streak at that point. So yeah, without helping to play the objective, they might have not moved on, and he might have stopped with the 40. So lots of really good plays there, and I think there's a lot to take away in terms of positioning. You guys watching should definitely take note of the areas of the map that he was getting himself into, as yeah, I thought he played it very well. So that is going to do it for this one, guys. If you enjoyed the video, then be sure to leave a like down below, and if you are new, then consider subscribing to the channel with those notifications on. If you guys do have any heroes you would like to see breakdowns for, then let me know down in the comments. I'm hoping to sort of cover a few that I've already done guides on, just so that you can, you know, like I said earlier, you can watch them together, and I feel like they're a bit more helpful that way. So yeah, expect to see some that tie into the current hero guides. Thank you all so much for watching. You guys have a great day, and I'll catch you all in the next one.